Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another fantastic episode on the Unleashing Potentials podcast. I'm your host, Bernadette, and joining me today is beautiful Bola, which I see you go by BA. Tell us more.
Yes. Oh, is it Bola? Is BAO today? Yes, indeed. Yes, I have. I do. My name is Bola Abimbola, and sometimes I just get it. I shorten it to BA sometimes. Yes. So there you go.
Yeah, that's awesome. Welcome back to the podcast. You've been on the podcast once before. I think it must have been a year or so ago. I don't remember.
Yes, it was. I think it was before Daily Soul Bites was published, the paperback.
Yeah,
So it was sometime around September, October,
yeah.
2023. Yes.
Wow, wow. So much has changed. You've been a busy woman.
Some of you, I've seen all the episodes of Unleashing Potential podcast. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done for all you do,
Thank
Bernadette.
you. Thank you. You too. For those who haven't heard your episode or don't know you, can you tell us who you are and the work that you do?
Thank you, Bernadette. Yes, my name is Bola Abimbola again. I am an energy practitioner. I'm a coach. I'm a best-selling author of the book Daily Soul Bites, which is now available anywhere books are sold, in paperback, audiobook, and Kindle. I run the Smith Emotional Mastery Program, which really helps those who are ready to connect to that self-awareness, the capacity to have self-awareness as a natural way of being, to learn to become much more present, more centered,
Mm.
be here and now, and to see life, to operate with everything that is being reflected to us from that centered place.
Mhm.
So yes, that is what I do. I'm also a Reiki energy practitioner, and I do light language channeling, and I also am an Akashic record reader. And it's all really part of the Smith Emotional Mastery Program, although I do have my Reiki energy clients separate. But a lot of the modalities that I offer all come under my Smith Emotional Mastery 8-week program.
Mhm. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. Bola, did you always wanted to do the work that you're doing now? How did you develop your gifts?
I have always had gifts, but I wasn't always comfortable. I didn't always embrace them. I started out being a medical student. I started out studying medicine, and decided that it wasn't for me because I wasn't enjoying it. It took me some years of doing A levels, and I think I did my A levels about two, three times, the actual exams before I got the grades to get into medicine. But once then I realized that I wasn't really as interested in the biology and the physiology of the body. I was more interested in the mind. So I transferred to a degree in psychology. And then when I finished psychology, I started working in mental health and I began to do much more management. I was more a community manager, managing health centers, and then I ended up working in Department of Health here in the UK, and I was managing projects across the country. And so I've had a number of different careers over the years, but that spiritual part of me as was something that was highlighted to me when I read the book by Ramana Maharishi at the age of 18, and where he was pointing to different parts of self, the higher self and the lower self. This is the physical ego self. And
Mhm.
Ramana Maharishi is somebody who I really became very familiar with. I found his book on the shelf at home. My mom was a librarian and she had lots of books from different parts of the world. And I really loved his books and how he pointed me to understand that this physical being, this ego self, was not my true self. And I also had a lot of different experiences as a child. The day my father passed, he was in hospital, but I saw him at home. So I thought he had come home from the hospital, but I saw him in his bedroom. And my mother came back and said, no, he has passed. He did not come home. He passed in hospital.
Mhm.
So I've had different experiences like that, and I hear voices of my father, my mother. Now she's passed. My mom passed in 2020. So that spiritual journey started a long time ago. But the understanding of spirit and myself as a spirit being
Mhm.
has come up as practice, through practice, understanding that there is the part of me that is changing all the time, which is all the personality constructs of the physical ego
Mhm.
self, the body,
Mhm.
and the mind, the
Mhm.
physical mind. And then there is the non-changing higher self, which has its own mind and its own perspectives. And that's what my book Daily Soul Bites is about.
Yeah.
It's about the different perspectives of the higher,
Mhm.
the physical ego self. And not saying one is better than the other, because those two parts of us make us whole. They make us who we are in this planet, in this density planet. So I've come to really accept that ego self and hold space for it,
Mhm.
even though moment to moment I'm staying present and centered, non-judgmental in that higher self. So,
Mhm.
and it's an ongoing practice because then there is never a point where that particular ego self is always surrendering. There's always triggers. There are always triggers from past traumas that we can come to hold space for.
Yeah.
And as we hold space for them, with compassion, with love, we have, we become more familiar with the perspectives of the physical ego self, and we know that that frequency which we're vibrating is low. And
Mhm.
it's all about self-awareness. And we develop that sense of self-awareness to know I'm not my usual self. I need to hold perspectives, true, authentic perspectives, be connected to my own truth. And we cannot deceive ourselves. We may try to deceive others, but we cannot ever deceive ourselves. We always know the truth when we um, when we really are ready to hold that space. We always know the truth. So yes, it's been a journey and it's ongoing. So yes, I've had lots of different careers. I've also done politics. I've done a lot of different things, and now I'm more of a spiritual teacher.
Mhm.
Um, I'm loving it.
Yeah,
Loving
yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for
it.
sharing. You are full of depth, so much knowledge. I can just listen to you for hours because there's something in every word that you share. There's power in it. And thank you for sharing your experience. Um, I I think and know that all of us are born with spiritual gifts. Some of us don't know how to harness it. I know I don't. Right? It's just a learning experience. At times it's scary, terrifying, and it's just confusing. What would you say to someone like me, who's experiencing spiritual gifts that they feel like wildfire burning without control? What would you say?
First of all, I think it's wonderful when there is an interest
Yeah.
in this, in that spiritual part of self, because the world doesn't encourage it. The world really would prefer us to surrender more to that physical ego existence, to
Mhm.
be driven by it. So the fact that we have an interest in that spiritual part of us, the spiritual gifts that we have, is really wonderful. That's the first thing I would say. And the other thing is to just take time to be aware, because self-awareness is where a lot of our explorations begin,
Mhm.
understanding the beliefs that we hold, because the self, the higher self has a lot of ways of communicating with us.
Mhm.
It may be through what we're hearing, maybe what we're seeing, what we're knowing, what we're tasting,
Mhm.
what we're sensing. First, we have to allow all I call them mind music. There's a lot of mind music that is playing in our heads that we have to really come to allow to settle down.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of trauma recovery. I'm also a trauma recovery
Mhm.
coach. There's a lot of trauma recovery that needs to take place before we can allow ourselves to step into that place where we are understanding what our gifts are. Because
Yeah.
they are gifts that we have brought into this lifetime. They are gifts that we have had for lifetimes.
Mhm.
But we may have touched on it in a previous lifetime, and we may have suffered some kind of ramification or torture. So there is some fear sometimes that arises from
Mhm.
those times when spirituality and the practice of spiritual gifts was frowned upon or even led to death.
Mhm.
And some of the fear or that kind of anxiety that we feel when we are thinking of our spiritual gifts is from that time. May be part. It may very well be part of this reluctance for people to feel supported to express their spiritual gifts, but it may also be from previous life.
Yeah.
So it's important to hold that certainty and continue to hold that passion that I do want it. I do want it, and I'm going to come to release whatever resistance is coming up and getting to know those thoughts, getting to know those beliefs. Because some of us, I remember when I first started to learn about Reiki, because my background is from a Christian background. So I did not always feel encouraged to
Mhm.
embrace my spiritual gifts. Because even within the Christian community, there are some communities that embrace spiritual gifts more than others. So it's always a case of knowing the resistance that is there for you
Mhm.
and allowing yourself to continue to hold space and then allowing yourself to get the help you need. There's a lot of spiritual teachers that will use different modalities to connect you with those thoughts, with those beliefs, with your senses, with what you are hearing.
Mhm.
You will begin to allow yourselves to repeat what you hear. It may be in dreams, it may be while you're watching telly, you suddenly hear something that really connects with you, really resonates with you. But you have to get to a place where that mind music is not there. That mind music. And I use the word mind music because we cannot be judging it. We cannot we've got to find a way of accepting and validating all the thoughts, whether negative, positive. We have to get to a place where we can see it, we can show compassion, and we can allow ourselves to hold space because this is what integration is about. Integration is really about holding space for the negative and the positive. And it happens to us all. We're sitting down and we have a desire to, I want to know more about the thoughts that have been given to me by my guides, because we all have guides, and then another message will come in our heads and we'll go, and the message could be something like, no, don't get distracted by all of that. That is only going to take you the wrong direction. That is going to get you killed. That is going to get you ostracized. You're going to lose friends. You're going to be seen as different. You're going to stand out. I would say there are all those thoughts that are there that we can come to talk back to. And it's called self-talk. The self-talk has to become soft, has to become gentle, has to become loving. And we continue to hold the desire, the passion, because it has to be a passion that we hold and we are determined. We have a zero tolerance. We have to have a zero tolerance to anything that distracts us from it. And we have to be ready to invest in the modalities that will help us to become quieter, because it's only when we've gotten rid of the trauma control within us, because a lot of times our trauma is controlling us. The anger, the shame, the blame is controlling us. And we have to get to a place where we are more compassionate with ourselves. And then we can allow that higher self to feel more connected to that higher self. The higher self is always connected to us. It's always a part of us.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
we come to a place where we are getting rid of that mind music, or we're not allowing it to control us. And then we can begin to see, hear, perceive life and the guides that are with us from that place of the higher self. And then our gifts will begin to become real to us.
Yeah.
whether it's by hearing or whether it's something that we're seeing, we're writing.
Mm-hmm.
We could be that we become a light language channel. But it is a journey. And it starts with that self-awareness. And it's about integration, allowing ourselves to really hold that space for both the negative and the positive. And as we come from the negative, we're aligning to more positive perspectives. We're aligned to honesty. We're aligning to love, to gratitude. And we find ourselves going to positive, then back to negative, then back to, from moment to moment, 1 minute we're negative, we're positive. Then as we swing that pendulum, we get to a place where that pendulum starts to stay in the center, that neutral space.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where the higher self dwells. And then we can begin to understand our gifts from that place.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get to the center from the negative perspective is really, really difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's easier if we get the help to start to align to more positive perspective. And then we can slowly begin to see ourselves become more familiar
Yeah.
with that neutral space,
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
space of non-judgment. That it's an unknown place to start with. So
Mm-hmm.
there's fear that comes when we are um, being comfortable with silence. Like my brother was saying to me, we spent the weekend away, and he was saying to me, "You're so quiet now. You don't talk as much as you used to." And I was like, "Really? Is that so?" He goes, "Yes, because I'm much more comfortable in that silent space now."
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even though I mean, this morning I still had, I still had to deal with somebody who delivered the wrong boiler to me. My heat. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I was sent the wrong boiler. And, it was something about, no, there's nothing we can do. This is done and you're going to have to go with what you ordered. So there are still things we will have to deal with. But how we deal with it will determine our response to it, will determine the outcome that we get. If we decide to go down the route where we alienate the people with it,
Mm-hmm.
that is going to serve us as well as when we really express our heart why something is important to us.
Mm-hmm.
And we will see the reflection that comes back to us is a reflection of concern, a reflection of collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it's interesting. It's a new way of life because those gifts begin to serve us, begin to, park here, go here, make this call here. And you begin to get those messages much, much clearer.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, you talked about the ego, trauma, and so many other amazing, fantastic topics. I find, I'm going through a spiritual awakening. It's exhausting because there's the ego, the spiritual side. I love that you use mind music. My gosh, do I have DJs in my head some days because of mental health diagnosis, and I know I'm not alone. There are people like me who's experiencing, symptoms, and then they're also connecting to source or the other side or their higher selves. Um, what would you say to those people, when fear step in? Because it can be scary because we don't remember. I don't remember most of the time or why I come down here.
Mm, mm. Yeah, mental health is key because there are times when that ego mind takes over completely. Um, and it's not running a script that is positive a lot of the times. It's always about survival,
Hmm.
about paranoia, about fear, competition, hate, non-forgiveness. And there's so many different scripts that
Hmm.
ego self. And I always see spiritual awakening as a path. It is not something that happens overnight. There is a time when if we allow ourselves to continue that seeking, because there has to be a seeking, you trying to get the books, you practicing different modalities, trying different therapies, even whilst you're on medication, being open to alternative therapies, alternative ways of developing self, of expanding consciousness. Because
Mhm.
consciousness is what is contracted. Consciousness in that mental health disorder is contracted.
Mhm.
And we have to come to a place where we are allowing consciousness, which is the intelligence within us, that divine, infinite intelligence within us, that consciousness is able to expand. So
Mhm.
that's the very first thing I would say, knowing that it's a path. And we have to continue to seek different therapies, different modalities. And what worked 2 years ago may be different from what will work.
Mhm.
So it's exploration, that exploration, because it's possible. It's possible to overcome whatever contraction we have within us. And that is what we have come to do. And it's not about comparing ourselves to anybody else. It's about knowing this is what I don't, because we may have brothers and sisters who don't have these disorders that we have. And we can come to know that this is a very individual journey, even though we are serving the collective in different ways.
Mhm.
But I have come with this particular theme to hold no judgment of it. It's important, very similar to how we would want to learn about our spiritual gifts. The mental health disorder is an opportunity for us to learn about our true self.
Mhm.
And first, I know that we have to have a zero tolerance, a determination, a daily determination that helps us to have a toolkit that we are working with on a daily basis. It may be something to do with music, to do with art, with dance, maybe to do with energy healing, meditation, breath work, something that is about spirit. A lot of the modalities around us are not heart-based or spiritual modalities. So first we have to seek spiritual modality. That is what spiritual awakening is calling us to do, to
Mhm.
seek spiritual modalities that will allow us to become much more familiar with that spirit, with silence. And spirit is the higher self,
Mhm.
that silent space, which is where the higher self dwells. So meditation, and if it's meditation is not something that works for you, then you want to try energy healing. That also works.
Mhm.
Or you may want to try breath work. That works. Or self-inquiry. Kind of delving deep through the thought. Self-inquiry is really about questioning that ego self, knowing that the thoughts that you're hearing are not true. And you do so, the thought will say something like, I'm no good. I'm not good at anything. I have I have no I have no gifts to offer. I am not um, somebody that has an expertise in anything.
Mhm.
Um, I am not somebody that should be respected. I'm not somebody that should be trusted. And those are the kind of thoughts. But then we can remember times when we have shown expertise, times when people have trusted us. We can come to see the lies that we have been told that we are now telling our own self. The mental illness is really about understanding the lies and letting those lies become the truth. And it's not easy doing this on our own because when we are trying when the self is trying to speak to the self, that can be such a challenge.
Mhm.
So getting the help we need is so key.
Mhm.
And until we come to a place where we are able to actually feel more confident in that higher self, in that spirit self, using the different modalities. So
Mhm.
self-awareness, understanding the lies, turning those lies into truths, beginning to see the true person that we are, that true being that we are, and wanting to understand the perspectives. And that's what Daily Soul Bites is really about. My book,
Mhm.
Daily Soul Bites, it
Mhm.
talks about the different perspectives, the higher perspectives and the lower perspectives. Because
Mhm.
every single thing that we have to experience, whether it's intimacy, whether it's love, whether it's abundance,
Mm-hmm.
They all have negative, beliefs around. Like, for instance, love has a negative belief around how, you know, love always comes with challenges. No one can love you unless they can get something out of you. Love always comes with responsibility. Or when someone loves you and they get to know you, they don't love you anymore. Or there are so many conditionings that we have all had. And there are also higher perspectives of love. Love is sweet. Love is the best thing you can experience. From love comes abundance. Love is money. Love is health. Love is synchronicity. And there are some perspectives that we will come to hold as our own perspectives as we release those perspectives, those lower perspectives
Mm-hmm.
of different experiences. And this is why really understanding our thoughts, whether through journaling or whatever it is that helps us to understand
Mm-hmm.
is so key. So there are certain modalities that have to do with the mind that may come in helpful to a point, and then we have to seek the spirits of therapy. Therapy is often a mind modality because it helps you understand the thoughts that are going on in your head. And it can be helpful when you talk about them, you bring them to the surface. From that subconscious place, you bring them to the conscious. Because not every thought is conscious. So once we bring them to the conscious, we can then begin to let them go and surrender to that higher self. The
Mm-hmm.
ego self, the surrender has to come to trust that higher self. And that's what spiritual practice does. It allows us to more and more become familiar with that higher self.
Mm-hmm.
It's a letting go and a surrender, letting go of resistance, letting go of I know it all, letting go. I'm not gonna let any kind of unknown being from somewhere, because some people still believe that, if I cannot see it, I cannot trust it. I can only trust what I see. So spirit, which is not a physical form,
Mm-hmm.
can
Mm-hmm.
be hard for people to trust.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's the same journey. It's that self-awareness, understanding the thoughts, integration, healing, and becoming more familiar and
Mm-hmm.
trusting that higher self.
Mm-hmm.
And that dissolves the energy disorder that's causing that mental illness. Because we are energy beings. So it is possible, trusting and using the modalities, getting the help that resonates with us, because we are being guided.
Mm-hmm.
People that will call to us, we can find different modalities. This is not always one thing, because I use different things. I use crystals, I use cognitive behavior therapy, I use energy healing, breath work, meditation. It's never one thing, and it's a daily practice. On any one day, I'm doing all of those things. If by the time I go to bed, when I wake up to when I go to bed, I'm using those modalities every single day, because the conditioning of the matrix is every single day. So we cannot stop our practices that allow us to stay centered, allow us to stay aligned to source.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I definitely agree. I used to be one of those people who I had to see to believe. So I did get proof, right? Because I grew up Christian. Now I don't have any religion. I just love and believe what comes, what is. Um, but I'm like, I grew up reading the Bible. I don't know what to believe. I've never
Me
seen
too.
Jesus. I've heard people talking about him. And the very first vision I had was of Jesus' feet. I'm like, okay, check mark. That's proof. Okay, God, are you real? And he showed me. Okay. And then angels, are you real? They showed me. Okay. My mom, my dad, are you real? Yes, they showed me in vision. So I'm a believer now, I guess. I just needed proof because of the ego and so much confliction, right? Because I think how we were raised can shape our belief. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to stay that way, but it definitely impacts our spiritual path as well.
Yes, yes. And there's a difference between seeking proof, like science. Science seeks proof, and then there's knowing.
Yeah.
There are times when we just feel we know it in the gut.
Mhm.
Um, and that is different. That's a new way of life. That's
Mhm.
another way of life. We can live life wanting proof, and we can live life just knowing
Mhm.
and let it knowing be enough.
Yeah.
That is so key that when I feel it, when I know it, it's enough for me.
Mhm. Mhm.
And not needing to prove yourself or explain yourself to anybody. Because at the end of the day, I've come to really believe that whatever is outside of us is a reflection of us.
Mhm.
So I can come to relate to that external, um, those external experiences. I can come to see them as a part of myself. They're telling me something. The experiences are really telling me something. And it's about, what do I want out of this?
Mhm.
What does this mean? Why am I creating this? What within me is telling me this is okay? Why is this not okay? What do I really want? And we can begin to just work with that knowing, without, with ourselves in that way. Um, of course, because I'm also a legal advocate, you see. So when I have to support my clients in court, I have to provide evidence. I have to prove. So that's different. I have to
Yeah.
gather the evidence. I have to make a case. I have to prove. But in my day to day, I really live by knowing.
Mm. And when you know, you just know.
It's
Sometimes I
so
don't know
sharp.
how I know. I just know. I can't find the words. I can't find the proof. I just know.
That's
Yeah.
a high self communication. That's a gift.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. 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 And Bola, you've had Bashar on your podcast.
Yes,
Tell
yes.
me more about Bashar.
Oh yes. Bashar. I followed Bashar for at least a decade.
Wow.
Um, he's a non-physical consciousness on the planet. It's a
Mhm.
Sani. And he's basically here to share with us very sharp truths. I came across Bashar, I would say, 2007, something like that.
Mhm.
And I couldn't listen to him. I found him very abrupt. I found I found that sensation of, there was a resistance within me to hear the words. And I initially loved Abraham Hicks, and I still love Abraham Hicks, the law of attraction. I found that message easier to digest. But then I kept coming back to Bashar. I kept coming back. There was there was a calling there, for me to really connect with them. And I began to listen and attend his workshops, his webinars.
Mhm.
He has a TV station which I joined, and I've really come to understand that there is a succinctness, a very sharp delivery that no one else I can give.
Mhm.
And this is why I share shorts about Bashar on Bola Abimbola official channel, my channel on YouTube.
Mhm.
So he's a non-physical consciousness that is really here to prepare us for open contact.
Mhm.
And there are some timelines. There's some timelines that, timelines meaning that Bashar will say that there are so many different timelines that we're jumping through. That in every there's that life is actually in single frames, and it's like a cartoon. When you draw a cartoon and you have single frames, and it's the movement of the camera that allows the cartoon to look like it's actually real, it's actually
Mhm.
happening. So it's when consciousness jumps from one timeline to another that we experience that movement, and things look like, life looks like we are actually the same person we were yesterday. But I've come to understand that we're actually, consciousness is actually jumping timelines, billions of timelines per second. So the person we were a minute ago is not the same person we are now.
Mhm.
And we can create the past from the present space. And sometimes someone has said to me, "Oh, how is that possible? I can remember the past." And what I've come to understand is we can remember what makes sense to us. For instance, I was a stutterer as a child, and I still have that as a meaning. That still holds meaning for me because I am teaching how I have transformed that. A time may come when I no longer have that as a past. But at this present time, I'm choosing to hold on to that past. And sometimes we hold on to the trauma, but it has to have a meaning for us.
Mhm.
There is no need to hold on to traumas because every time we say, I am this, I am that, we are recreating it. Every single time we bring it to the present and we create that connection to the past. But there are things we can begin to say differently because whatever we say in terms of that I am, we are creating it. So and it's very interesting, and I learned all this, from a number of teachers, Muji, Bashar, Eckhart Tolle. They all talk about how the past is not relevant and how it's all about being present, all about staying in that centered place, that place of no judgment, that place where the higher self dwells. And when we stay there, we can come to really express ourselves in whatever is required. One minute we can express ourselves with with silence. Someone asks you a question and you do not need to respond. That is even a non-response is a response. And someone may say something and you will feel the need to express anger
Mhm.
because you're wanting to nullify some injustice or you're wanting to equalize a misperception or misunderstanding.
Mhm.
But it's about what we do with that anger. Are we holding on to the anger for days or for hours or for just the seconds that we need to hold on to it?
Mhm.
So we don't have to hold on to anger for more than seconds. When it really comes down to it, we can express what we need to express and go back into our neutral space. So Basha has a lot of teachings. Basha has been around for nearly 40 years, many years.
Yeah.
So I'm probably one of the younger listeners of Basha, but
Mhm.
I've dedicated myself to understanding the spiritual awakening journey. So this is what I meant by modalities,
Mhm.
having different modalities with no judgment. I mean I've gone on courses with Eckhart Tolle, I've gone on courses with Muji, I've done satsangs, I explore, I tell you, Bernadette, I have no judgment.
Yeah, yeah,
I've
that's
done I
amazing.
Ching, tarot, I've there are so many different things, and I'm still open to learning about consciousness. The journey continues. The journey always continues. So yes, Bashar is one of my really profound teachers that I have
Mhm.
I've really has really helped me to understand this third density and how we are experiencing this matrix, this false matrix,
Yeah.
understanding the false matrix,
Mhm.
understanding how to transcend it into a place of peace, a place of silence. But
Mhm.
you have to combine Basha with a lot of other things. I do not think that Basha alone would have helped me if I had stuck to Bashar alone. It's really about using a combination
Mhm.
to connect
Yeah.
with my heart, to connect with the trauma that I had. So there are so many different modalities that I use, and Basha is definitely one of
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm very similar in that sense. I'm always learning something. I'm
them.
always hungry to know more, not on a egoistic aspect, but spiritually. I want to
Yeah.
remember my soul wants to know more. And for those who don't know who Bashar is, you just tell us who Bashar is. But um, It or Bashar is channeled by Daryl Enka. Have you met him?
Yes, yes. No, well, I have had a contact with him
Okay.
on online. I had a one-on-one with him online, and
Mhm.
he gave me a mantra. Dialanka does channel. I should have said that from the very beginning. Yes,
It's okay.
Bashar is channeled by Dialanka,
Yeah.
who is a phenomenal
Mhm.
channeler, powerful channeler, and he's also written books. And he has an escape room in the States that people come to. So he it
Oh.
is. I think he used to do some work with regards to these, what are these effects, the special effects that they do in movies. I
Yeah.
think that was his background before he became a channeler.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's a trance channeler because it goes into a trance. Because
Mhm.
I also channel, but I channel, consciously. So even now as I'm speaking, I'm not speaking arbitrarily. I'm speaking connected to different energies,
Mhm.
just to increase the understanding at different levels.
Yeah.
So there are different types of channeling. So yes, I had a one-to-one, and he gave me this mantra, and it was something along the lines of wanting to. I asked the question about how can I move forward to my next level, and he said, just say the sentence 3 times when you wake up and when you go to bed. I am who I am, and that is enough. I am who I am, and that is enough. I am who I am. That's So
Mhm.
to say it in the morning when I wake up and before I go to bed, and it does really, it's a very empowering statement. It allows a dissolution of resistance and
Mhm.
a reconnection to our true self, an
Mhm.
expansion of consciousness. So yes, that was given to me at a one-to-one, Asha, and it's really for everybody. It's not
Yeah.
just for me. So yes, that was powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I watch his stuff on YouTube all the time and different interviews he's had. I'm soaking it all in. Um, for some people, Bashar would is they might call him an alien, which I don't. You
We're
don't.
all aliens. We're all aliens. It's
Yeah.
just which planet are you from? That's what it is.
Yeah. Tell us more. From your point of view of what we call alien or star seeds.
Yes. Thing is about years ago, the Anunnakis came. These are really beings that came to this planet to um, use our resources to to aid their own planet. And they needed the beings that were here, um, the 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 humans that were here at the time to really help them do workers to become workers. So they injected us with different DNAs from different beings, different planets, from Sirius, Pleiades, Orion, different planets. And each of us has so many different planets within us as the years have gone by. Because as I understand it, there's still that going on. There are still some degree of DNA manipulation going on by choice.
Mhm.
Some of us have chosen this manipulations, not consciously. That's what I've come to understand.
Yeah.
So the star seeds really are the different stars that we've come from. And we're not one star seed. We have a range. Some of us have 10, 15 different stars.
Yeah.
Um, And this is something that we can get to understand these star seeds through an Akashic record reading, which is
Mhm.
an energy library within us. And we can have someone read. I do read Akashic records
Mhm.
for clients, and it's really about coming to understand what star seeds we hold.
Mhm.
So that's it really. We have that DNA manipulation that took place years ago, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years ago.
Mhm.
And some is still ongoing now in our sleep, in the astral realm. And it's really about us understanding that this is not something that is supposed to be um, detrimental to us. We can come to stand in our power and only allow. allow what works for us, what is going to be um, along the themes that we want to explore. So the
Mhm.
perspectives that we hold around every single thing, including this, is key.
Mhm.
Because when we think we are being damaged in some way, we have so much power in our thoughts. So that is exactly what we will experience.
Mhm.
We have power in our thoughts and what we align to, what we choose to think. So yes, that information is out there,
Mhm.
and it's about what we choose to do with it,
Yeah.
and whether we choose to see it as conspiracy, because that's what the government will definitely
Yeah.
make known to us that there's a fear around aliens, there's a fear around there's a
Yeah.
fear around the whole concept of contact of extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
Um, but at the end of the day, this is all about perspectives and
Mhm.
about what we choose to do with the information that we have
Mhm.
with us. Because there is the opportunity, we have choice. And
Mhm.
what we choose to align to is key. And there's no point trying to convince someone to do anything. It's all about what we choose
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
What you as an individual choose to believe is what is key here. And the reflection will come back according to what perspectives you choose to hold. So that is really
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I saw myself in a pod. I was doing an Octorian meditation. I still don't know what that means. I see, I do record my dreams and everything else I experience. I don't understand. I don't know. I don't understand, and that's okay. I have no clue.
it's about how you felt about it.
Hmm.
What was the feeling that came? Because it may have been a memory. It may be something that you are giving yourself an opportunity to connect. You must have heard the word actuarian somehow in that,
Yeah.
in that dream. You
Hmm.
must have seen yourself in a particular way. Were you asleep? Were you doing a craft? How did it feel? That feeling is something that you can connect with. Did it feel peaceful? Did it feel fearful? What
Hmm.
do you want to do with that memory?
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you want that memory to be something where, because the actuaries are very powerful manifestors,
Hmm.
they really are, they work with symbols, they work with numbers,
Hmm.
and that could be the beginning of developing a relationship with the actuarians. Or it may be the end of your connection with the actuary.
Yeah.
And how you decide to go about it is okay.
Hmm.
However way you decide to go about it is okay. That is so important because we've all come to explore different things.
Yeah.
But it's going to be about how did I feel? Did I feel empowered?
Mm.
Do I want to continue this? Do I want to develop it? And you will see how whatever direction you choose to go,
Hmm.
if you choose to go along the direction of they are fearful, it's a fearful thing, you will get more information that will suggest to you that this is fear. It
Mm.
will multiply. Whatever we focus on is what will multiply. We're so powerful.
Yeah.
But if we decide that this is something I want to explore, I felt this power, you can begin to channel the experience.
Mm. That's
There's,
so cool.
there are higher perspectives. There are higher perspectives to the actuaries, and you can begin to channel them, and they'll begin to heal you. They have such healing powers, and they also have, they really help you to attract those things that you prefer into your life.
Hmm.
These are the gifts that are out there, but we can shut it down or we can expand it. It's
Hmm.
all about choice and alignment.
Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely open to everything. I told them, don't give me a heart attack because I gotta complete my mission and gently connect with me. But when I saw myself, I was laying down. I was in a pod. It felt very peaceful. And I felt that I was a soldier down here. Somehow my consciousness is connected to me up there laying down, but I'm here. It wasn't fearful. It was incredible. And it was very short. Why are visions so short? Like, bloop, you're
Depends.
done.
Maybe
Yeah.
that was all that was required.
Mm.
That was all that was required to give you the message And now it's unforgettable.
Mhm.
You had the time that you need, and it's really about now beginning to do the research to find out as you were led, because there's so much information about the actuarians. I
Mhm.
channel the Aldorians, and I don't find much information about the Aldorians. I have to meditate and ask them, you
Yeah.
know. So it's a very personal
Mhm.
relationship.
Mhm.
It's not, there are very few of us, from what I understand, who channel the Aldorians.
Yeah.
The actuarians are very well known. So that's a wonderful place to, you know, a wonderful connection that you were given there,
Mhm.
and and the fact that you felt at peace, that can grow and expand as an
Mhm.
energy within you. That's exciting.
It is, yeah. Who are the Aldolian? I haven't heard of.
Aldorians are beings that are from the planet Aldor. I began to channel them in 2020, and that was the same time my mom passed, and they really helped me to write.
Yeah.
They are very wise. They're very wise beings, and they're very gentle. It's all about love and healing. Healing is key. Very similar to Sirius. Sirius. I also have star seeds of Sirius and Pleiades, and Actuarians as well. So the Algorians are, they are the bees that I channel, and they are all about, they've said to me that they are here to provide a new way of being to those who connect, those who resonate.
Yeah.
So that's really powerful.
Wow. That's amazing. This is my topic, you guys. I love this. That's so exciting. Um, what would you say to people who have fears of aliens?
Yeah. What do they want to feel instead?
Mm,
This is The fear can only be taken away by them and nobody else.
yeah.
There is enough, there is enough information that will continue to perpetuate that fear. If
Mhm.
that is what they want.
Mhm.
Now, if they want to feel something different, they have to own it. And then they have to start taking action that allows them to develop a different relationship with aliens.
Mhm.
Nobody's going to take away that fear. In fact, if you don't take action to reduce your connection with fear about aliens, it will continue to grow, because everything around us, the media, the films, if I see a film being done about aliens in the mainstream media, I know I'm not going to be watching it. Because it's only going to be perpetuating the fear. They've come to attack us. They've come to kill us, and all those kinds of things.
Mhm.
And there may be timelines where that is happening. You see, every thought we have is a timeline.
Mhm.
Every single thought we have is an experience that we can have. So
Mhm.
the choice, this is why I always say this universe is a universe of choice and alignment. All the possibilities are there. There are timelines where it is definitely a good thing to fear the aliens. And there are timelines where the gifts that we're getting from our connections with the aliens is allowing us to have a more peaceful existence.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Those that also exist. So it's about the different timelines and how we can come to choose and align.
Mhm.
And if we're looking for proof, it's going to be a knowing
Mhm.
that this direction, because if we do want to feel more of that fear, we will know that we're feeling fear and we will continue on that journey. And it can be exciting. And we will have groups of people that are condemning aliens left, right, and center, and we will continue to engage with that.
Yeah.
But if we want to have more resonant, and they're different timelines, and we will then find that there are actually groups of people that are loving contact,
Mhm.
cannot wait to resonate and live side by side.
Yeah.
They're different timelines, and we've got to find which one resonates with us,
Mhm. Mhm.
which one we want to align with. So it's a choice. It's about choice. It's about um, knowing what feels right.
Mhm,
But that word, when I say it's a choice, that is so because sometimes we think we have no choice.
mhm.
Sometimes we think that fear is the right way to feel, but we do not know that there's also the path of love that
Yeah.
we can come to choose and align with
Mhm,
any moment, any single moment.
mhm. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing. And up to now, even from history, there are so many artists, writers, musicians. They download and get inspiration from source from somewhere. And I'm one of those. Every single piece of art, every single brushstroke, it tells a story I may not understand, but others may understand. How can people continue to tell their stories, even though it doesn't make sense to other people, which it doesn't always have to make sense to them?
I think we sometimes, I'll give you an example. When I wrote Daily Soul Bites,
Mhm.
I thought I wrote that book. I thought I wrote. I mean, I didn't sign a contract. There was not a day when I got a call to say we are the Outdoorians and we're gonna write a book with you. It was only when I went back, you know, sometime about 6 months after I wrote it, that some of the messages that I wrote made even more sense to me. There was a deeper meaning, a deeper understanding. So we've got to be okay with the level of understanding that we have. We've got to accept the level of understanding that, and we must be less critical about ourselves. Because those thoughts about I don't understand or I'm not good enough or they will expand and we will always find ourselves filled with doubt.
Mhm,
So anytime we have a thought, and we know when a thought is taking us down into contraction or taking us higher into expansion, we have come to develop an awareness of how we are talking to ourselves and the level of it. It is what it is. It
mhm,
is what it is. What I understand right now is where I am. And we are always doing the best we can. I
mhm,
have realized that at every moment, with what we know, with what we have learned, we're always doing the best that we possibly can. So why would we want to depreciate that? Why would we want to put that down?
mhm,
There's a need for us to be more compassionate with ourselves, to really, really be gentle, be kind to our own self, and know that the level of understanding that I had even yesterday is
mhm,
different from the level of understanding I have today. And that is okay.
mhm,
That has got to be okay. So that would be what I would say that we it's about being kind and understanding that, you know, we really can come to accept ourselves as we are, the totality of that ego self. Even if the ego self is as immature as it comes,
mhm,
um, it is only through love that is going to grow. It's
mhm,
only through love and compassion that that ego self is going to surrender to that higher self.
mhm.
So yes, that's what I would say.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Is there anything else we didn't cover that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
Yes, I have a program. I mentioned the Smith Emotional Mastery Program that
Mhm,
I'm actually starting a season 12 on the 1st of October. So I would invite those who want to join me to attend the webinar I'm holding on the 30th of September at 9 o'clock. Going to be on if you know on Zoom, and you can get to know about the 5 steps which I use in my which I use in my program to get you from that place of improving your self-awareness, getting in touch with that self-awareness through mindfulness into integration, trauma recovery, and then transmutation, where you're really becoming more present. You're becoming more neutral, more accepting of self, And on a day to day, you are aligning more and more to that higher self and
Mhm.
allowing yourself to really dive into life, into whatever you need to do, into whatever role you need to play, taking action, using the synchronicities that are around us to
Mhm.
guide um, you into that place of peace. Because success, we can have success with peace.
Mhm.
Success doesn't have to come with chaos and stress. We can also have success with peace. That's another timeline if we choose. So
Mhm.
yes, I'd like to just share that and to thank you for having me. Thank you,
You're
Bernadette. I
welcome.
really appreciate
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you. I could listen to you for hours and hours and hours. So thank you so
it.
much. Thank you. Thank you. And sorry, what's your website again?
It's www.soulspacehealing.com.
Okay.
And the YouTube, I also have the YouTube Bola Abimbola official, and I'm also on Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok. But it's all on my website,
Okay.
soulspacehealing.com.
Okay. I have one last question for you. What is the meaning of life for you?
Life is about love.
Mm.
The meaning of life is about love.
Mhm.
Getting to understand what love is. Because I didn't always know. I thought I did. Married twice. I thought I did, you
Yeah.
know. But life for me is really being about understanding and embodying
Mhm.
love, allowing love to drive my day to day,
Mhm. Yeah.
and allowing love to drive the roles and the responsibilities that I have, whether as a mother, as a teacher,
Mhm.
or as a coach, as an author, or as a sister, allowing love to, and it's a journey. It is a journey.
Yeah.
But that's what my life is. If you'd asked me before, I would have said life was about being ambitious, which there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But it served me to a point. Served me to a point, and I realized that it wasn't. I still have a drive, but it's I'm not attached to it. I'm not attached to it. There is a different emphasis, a different priority for me, and that it has to feel whatever I'm doing. It has to feel. Um,
Mhm.
I have to feel that frequency of love.
Yeah.
Feel that peace. Otherwise, I don't want it.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Bola, for your time, and thank you for all you do. Keep shining.
Thank you, Bernadette.
You're welcome.